Ακούγεται. Okay. So, good morning. Welcome everybody here and through the web. Sorry for the delay and sorry also for the English, especially for people that are physically present here. We want to have the opportunity to be translated, so we're going to have the entire workshop in English. In case of someone needing help with questions afterwards in English, we are at your disposal. So this is a workshop concerning an Interreg MED program called Incircle that runs already since 2019 and is about to end by June 2022. It concerns, the main objective of the program is the transition towards a cyclical, circular development of tourism, especially in areas, in vulnerable, environmentally vulnerable areas like the insular, coastal, and low-density areas. The program runs already, as I told you. It's co-funded by the RDF. 6 countries of the MED areas are taking part, among them Italy, Spain, Greece, Cyprus, Albania, and Malta. And 14 institutions coming from central government or local government or the civil society representing those countries. Most of the speakers today represent some of those institutions involved. And of course, the host of the meeting, CIVINET, is one of them. And we are going to have an overview, first an introduction to the program and the tools that have been developed over time, over those 2 years, and have been already used by the previous participants, and some of the outputs of the program in terms of strategies or local action plans and pilot demonstrators. Our first speaker is Fabio Tomasi. He's representing Area Science Park, who is the lead partner among the 14 partners of the program. And he's going to give us the overview and the key objectives of the program. Fabio, the e-floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. I will share my presentation. Can you confirm that you can see my presentation, please?
Yes, fine.
Yes, thank you. So, again, good morning, everybody. I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to introduce you to the Incircle project, which has just been said has been funded by the Interreg MED program and is implemented by a partnership of different partners from the Mediterranean area. And the partnership includes both technical partners with a technical and scientific background, institutional partners that are in charge for the definition of strategies and plans, and there are also a set of local partners that will implement pilot actions to demonstrate how the solutions that we have identified in the project can be practically implemented. In terms of partners, moving from east to west as the sun, in Cyprus, we have the Municipality of Larnaca, the Larnaca-Famagusta District Development Agency. In Greece, we have CIVINET, which is today hosting the workshop, and the region of Crete and the Municipality of Rethymno. In Albania, we have the Albanian Institute of Transport and the Municipality of Vimara. In Malta, there's the Energy and the Water Agency and the Ministry for Gozo. Whereas in Italy, there's Athens Park and the Scuola Superiore di Studi Sant'Anna, and in Spain, we have the regional government of the Balearic Islands and the Municipality of Palma, and last but not least, MED cities, which, even if it is located in Spain, is some trans-European organization. So, as we have said, the objective of Encircled is applying the principle of a circular economy to the tourism sector. I will not go into the details to circular economy, but just to remind you that basically circular economy is a circle in which, ideally, if you introduce some resources, then is still used during the whole circle without waste. We know that that is not possible, but the idea is to minimize the inputs and the outputs from the circle. In practical terms, what we are doing is building on existing knowledge, adapting tools that have been already developed, and on the basis of what has been already done, develop a new methodology and especially indicators in order to make policymakers and tourist operators to define strategies and action plans to apply the principle of circular economy to the tourist sector. And last but not least, also to disseminate these results, because it is important, since we are funded by the taxpayer money, that the solutions that we have developed are used and beneficial for the largest number of beneficiaries. So for us, the concept of circular tourism is based on 4 main pillars, which is energy efficiency and the use of renewable energy sources, waste management, sustainable mobility, and water management. This means apply 5 principles: reduce, make the less production possible of waste. We have to be aware that whatever is in our waste bin has been in our shopping bag. So circular economy is not just environment, it's also about efficiencies. This means also regenerate, using transform products and materials, again, transform them, recycle, reuse, make values of waste. And this means rethinking our business, revalue the overall value chain, and this means innovate the whole process of tourism, especially in this moment that we are recovering from the COVID. We are hopefully recovering from the COVID pandemic. It is important to innovate. The new normal will not be the normal that we used before, and it is important to take this opportunity to innovate business and use the funds from the recovery fund for doing things better. So our main outputs is an operational model that is based on an active involvement of the all stakeholders, is based on scientific background. And related to this, there's a set of circular indicators that will be shortly presented, a knowledge platform that will help you applying the methodology, using the set of circular economy and learn from other experience. Then there's also a set of regional strategies that have been developed by our partners, and you will have the opportunities in a short time to learn more about them. And the pilot action that I mentioned before. And again, you will have the opportunity to learn it more. Moreover, if you want to download and use all the resources that we have developed, please visit our website. So I give floor to the other speakers that will have the opportunity to introduce you more in details on the work that we have done. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, Fabio, thank you very much. If there are no questions about that, maybe we should proceed with the next presentation.
Good morning, everyone, from me as well. My name is Sevdokia Balamou. I come from Larnaca and Famagusta District Development Agency from Cyprus. I'm also a partner of the Encircled project. So Fabio so far presented us let's say the main things and activities that we did in our project. So let's move to see a little bit of more concrete outputs. The first one is indicators and assessment tools, something very useful for us for giving us a state of the art where we are standing considering to circular economy. So I will give the floor to our colleagues from St. Anna's School of Advanced Studies, Guzmeroti and Garlesi, for their presentation.
Good morning to everybody. Can you see my screen? I don't know if... Okay. Moment. Okay. I suppose that you now... Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Serena Carlesi, and it's a pleasure for me to be here. This morning, I will briefly introduce you the Circulantarius tool. So this is a common set of indicators we developed within Encircled project addressed to assess the circularity within the tourism sector. And let's start with this presentation. So briefly, I will introduce you, which was our role within this project. We were the partner in charge to development of this set of circularity indicators capable to assess the circularity in tourism sector, both at the level of tourism destination and the tourism industries. As you can deduce, this set of circularity indicators at the hand are this Circulantarius tool that I will describe you in next slides. And furthermore, within this project, we supported all the institutional partners to apply this set of indicators and providing them an assessment report specific to describe which was their current state of circularity, describing the main strengths and weaknesses of this transition towards circularity sustainability, and providing them a free set of opportunities for improvement this transition towards circularity and sustainability. The definition of the set of circularity indicators of this Circulantarius tool was one of the main objectives, as Fabio Tomasi has described before, of this project. But let's go to define these tools. Why it is so important to measure, to assess the circularity for a tourism actor, for a tourism destination, for a tourism industry. The development and adoption of a circular measurement system represents a crucial requirement for the transition from take, make, dispose economic model to a circular economic model. The development of a specific system for measuring, for assessment of circularity in tourism sector is crucial for the development of aware tourism strategies. So thanks to the adoption, to the implementation of a system that is capable to assess the transition towards circularity and sustainability, a tourism actor, such as a tourism destination, a tourism industry, can make a picture of its sustainable and circular performance, can become aware where it is, where to start to become more competitive and resilient. And on the other hand, thanks to the assessment activity itself, can obtain the opportunity to improve its networking, involving all other tourism actors in its circular transition. So it's very important as a starting point to make to develop aware and conscious strategies. But how it's possible to measure, to assess the circularity for the tourism sector? In this project, we developed these common set of indicators. On the hand, we developed, as we see together in next slide, these circular tourism tools in two versions, one for tourism destination and another version for tourism industries. In this case, more specifically for tourism accommodation, campsite, food and beverage service providers, and for tour operators and travel agencies. Both these tools are based on a regional circular economy framework, which is based on four main resource capitals: humans, infrastructure, society, and natural resources, and on 5 circular economy principles. But the main fundamental aspect is that when a tourism destination or tourism industry decides to undertake a transition towards circularity, towards sustainability, it has to manage the humans, so local communities, the tourists, the tourism workers, the infrastructure, such as the road networking, the infrastructure that supports the mobility, or the service, the sanctioned service, the society, but also the natural resources as energy, water, raw materials, waste, take into account all these 5 circular economy principles. So a tourism actor has to innovate, has to adopt new solutions to find a balance between economical, social, and environmental needs. Has to rethink, has to think outside the business as usual perspective, has to reduce, to maximize the resource efficiency, to close the loop of materials, has to regenerate, has to restore the environmental assets as well as human well-being. And at the end, a tourism actor has to revalue, to maximize the value of resources and products as long as possible. Collaboration represents another important principle, which is the base of this framework. And for this reason, both tools provide a collaborative capacity outcome. But let's go giving you some other details. Development process of tools was exactly the same. I don't want to describe the entire story, but I want to underline the fact that these tools were tested, were applied, involving the Encircled partners, institutional partners, in order to develop an update version of these tools, simply to use and more effective to apply for the assessment process of a tourism destination and at the same time of a tourism industry. Within each circular tourist tool, there is a set of fundamental actions that should be properly managed when a tourism destination, a tourism industry, decide to undertake this transition towards circularity and sustainability. These fundamental areas of actions are defined within this tool as encircled circular categories. They are families, they are example categories of indicators, of questions. So in this case, in this slide, you can see some examples extracted by the circular tourist tool for tourism destination. If we go to analyze the circular human capital, the questions that you can find within this section are addressed to assess the individuals, so the local communities, tourism workers. The questions are addressed to verify which is their awareness level on circular and sustainable issues. But another aspect investigated is referred to which kind of recreational opportunities are provided by the tourism destination itself. And along this, the satisfaction level of all these individuals in reference to all the actions undertook by the tourism destination itself. Analyzing circulable capital, all the questions, all the indicators present in this tool are referred to investigate the infrastructure, public and private one, in order to understand the capability of the tourism destination to support a circular mobility, to support a circular management of all kinds of resources, the water, the energy, and so on. Analyze the natural capital. The questions that you can find in this section are referred to the capability of the tourism destination to manage under a circular perspective different kinds of resources, water, energy, and so on, but also the capability of this tourism destination to adopt processes that enable life to continue in a balanced way. Regarding the circular social capital, in this case, the questions, the categories analyzed are also referred to the tourism actors and their capability to cooperate in order to develop common circular and sustainable action plans, strategies, and so on. But which are the main characteristics of these tools? In this slide, you can see the main characteristics of the Circulantarius destination tool. In this case, this tool at the hand is a set of questions, 54 questions, which can be according different topologies. You can find quantitative questions, which are questions that ask percentage value. They can be normative questions. In this case, are questions that address to investigate the presence or absence of some aspect, so yes, no response. And then you can find self-assessment questions. In this case, questions for which respondents are asked to express their opinion about specific dimensions under analysis. All these questions are weighted, so quantitative ones are weight more in comparison to the Nibal questions one, normative and self-assessment one. And this tool presents also not potential applicable questions because there is the possibility that specific characteristics of the territory of the target destination may or may not present. So in this case, they can be excluded from the overall measuring process. According to the circular economy measuring framework that I briefly introduced before, each question is always linked to one capital, to one circular economy aspect, to one principle. And in a case that the question is able to assess, to support the building of a networking between among the different tourism actors, this question can be also linked to another label, networking label. Going to briefly introduce the Circular Tourism Industry tool, the main characteristics are exactly the same that I described for the Circular Tourist tool for Times destination. In this case, I remember you that this tool was developed in four main versions: one for accommodation, another one for restaurant and food service providers, another one for campsite, another one for tour operators and travel agencies. In this case, the average number of questions is about 40. Again, each question, according to the framework that I described before, is always linked to capital, to a circular economy aspect, one circular economy principle. Again, there is the possibility to have non-potential applicable questions, and there are a set of questions that is linked to a networking label. But in this slide, I want only to provide you a very short examples of questions that you can find within these Circular Tourist tools. In this case, these two questions are referred to the Circular Tourist destination tool. The first one is referred to the natural capital, so the resource, in this case, the energy resource, and is linked to the reduced circular economy principles. The question is a normative one. In this case, the question is addressed to investigate if the target destination has adopted or not a monitoring plan to keep trace of the share of renewable energy in gross final energy consumption. The other example is referred to the built capital, so the infrastructure which is present within the territory of the circular destination. In this case, is referred to an infrastructure which is referred to the water resource management and to the principle of regeneration. In this case, the question is quantitative, and so the aim of this question is to investigate the percentage, so the amount of population which is connected to a drinkable water provision service within the target destination itself. But which are the main outcomes that you can obtain by the use of these tools? These tools provide three main outcomes. The first one is represented by the overall circular tourism performance, which is represented by the weighted average of answers given in the filling process of the tool itself. In this case, this performance is represented by this graphical representation, is expressed by a percentage value. It is always combined with one of these 6 different labels that you can find around this cycle, from beginning concerned to highly circular. What does it mean, for example, to be beginning concerned? In this case, the tourism actor, so tourism destination on the tourism industry, is at the beginning of its transition towards circularity, is starting to understand the crucial role of circularity, of circular economy for the tourism sector itself, and so on. The other two important outcomes that you can obtain by the use of these circular tourism tools are the following ones. On the left side, you can see the circular tourism overview per capita, which is only a bar chart picture, a representation of the performance of each KPI, the performance indicator of each question you have provided within the tool. The other, but no less important outcome that you can obtain is represented by the Circulantarius performance measure per collaboration level. In this case, this outcome is addressed to express which is the collaboration capacity of the Tanis vector analyzed, and is obtained by a weighted average of all networking questions that you can find within these tools. So the final information that I would like to provide you is that the fact that now, recently, we have put online these tools, and so you can find these on the knowledge platform that Fabio has introduced before. So thanks to this, you can assess, your performance using all the online version of Circulantarius destination tool. If you are a tourism industry, you can assess your performance of circularity having access on the online version of the Circulantarius industry tool. In this case, we have put online the version for times accommodation and for tour operator and travel agency. And furthermore, we have provided this tool, the online version of this tool, also with a specific data set of best practice, or in this case, example of opportunities that you can take into account in your transition towards circularity and sustainability. Moreover, you can find always in the knowledge platform a specific guideline to have more details of these tools and a description of how to use these tools in details. I have finished, so thank you very much. If you have some question about these indicators, I'm here.
Any questions for our partner? Okay.
If there are questions from people watching, can we have, do you have some access?
Don't have any tablet?
No.
Well, I have a question, maybe to explain better to the people who are here. What is the main challenges for this tool? I mean, for a local authority to be able to let's say, perform this tool? What main challenges they may face, and what main benefits they have from the implementation of this tool?
Okay. I start answering to the first aspect, main challenges that the local authorities can face using this tool. Surely for the tourist destination, so for the local authorities, is represented by the need of collaboration among different institutions, among different stakeholders. Because if you will have the opportunity to explore this tool accessing on the online knowledge platform, you will see that these questions are addressed to investigate different aspects, different dimensions that are crucial for the transition, for the integration of circularity within the tourism sector or tourism destination itself. Regarding the benefits is that thanks to the application and thanks to the use of this tool, a tourism destination, local authorities can become aware of the main strengths of its own strategies in the past, and they can define the future strategies for a better integration, a better integration of sustainability and circularity in the territory and different level within the tourism destination itself.
One more question from me. Is it possible this tool for a local authority to, let's say, replicate it every year, so it can also see every
yes.
year from the measures that it does, where it's standing every year, yeah?
Yes. We suggest to use this tool 1 year over the time. So to apply this tool as a monitoring system of the performance of the efficiency of the strategies adopted. So the starting point can be difficult in the case the tourist destination or local authorities has to build a collection system of information of data, but after this, the use of this tool over the time is a useful and efficient strategy to monitor the transition and the, okay.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Proceed with the next one? Okay. So we can also have time for questions at the end if you think something later. So we're giving floor to our next speaker, Julia Bonello from Malta, the Energy and Water Agency. She's going to offer us an overview of another tool, the strategic participatory tool, and a short presentation of the structure of the local action plans, examples of which you are going to we are going to listen about later. Julia, first.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you see my screen in full screen or?
No, I can see you.
Oh, okay. So let me just try again. Can you see it now?
Yes, we see it now.
Okay. So thank you for the introduction. So basically today I'm going to be further explaining one of the deliverables of the project, which is to create a circular tourism strategy and also to analyze the success of these different strategies. So basically hold on, I'm going to try again. Sorry, I seem to be having trouble. Are the slides changing for you or not?
Try now, Julia, because I don't see slides changing.
Try one last time.
Yes, we see him.
We see the first slide, yes.
It's strange, it doesn't seem to be letting me change the slide.
No, the slide is not changing, yeah.
Let me just reclose. I will close the application. I will try again.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's changing slide?
Yes.
Perfect, perfect.
Okay, finally, sorry for that. So I'm going to be, as I said, explaining the circular tourism strategies, and the formation of this starts by applying the participatory process. I will go into this in a following slide. And then this process allows for a strategy to be created, and with a separate tool, we can then evaluate the strategy's success. So if we start by looking at what a circular tourism strategy is, it's basically having a framework in place that allows any tourism-related stakeholders or policy developers to have a cohesive and inclusive idea of the current state of circularity in that tourism destination, and how to monitor and how to improve any conditions in that tourism environment. So it can be of benefit to any tourism authorities, regulators, or sectoral operators. And as I mentioned, it can be of great use to decision or policymakers in a territory that wants to improve its environmental circularity. It also allows for encouraging the circularity and environmental consciousness amongst stakeholders and visitors to an area. And as a result of this, it can attract more stakeholders to visit such an area by having tourism agencies or actors have an increased corporate social responsibility. So it has kind of a double-edged sword in a positive way. It can allow for a territory to improve their kind of reputation, and then the tourism businesses in the area can also boost their reputation by saying that they are acting in a circular way, and this can attract more tourists. So it starts off by applying the participatory process, as I mentioned. So this is basically having a hands-on approach by encouraging participation within the area. So this involves public engagement. It adds a sense of responsibility to different stakeholders that are involved in the strategy's development. It also allows and encourages communication and cooperation between different stakeholders. And finally, has an end goal of being highly involved in planning and decision-making. And the quality and effectiveness of a policy or a strategy depends on the high involvement of all stakeholders in the decision-making process. And if this occurs, if most stakeholders are involved and consulted, you have greater confidence in the final results and a more transparent and trust in the institutions that make these political decisions. So the participatory process was enacted through different stakeholder working groups. And if we start with what a stakeholder working group is, it's basically an interdisciplinary working team with the scope of merging different perspectives and fostering common interest amongst tourism stakeholders. So why is this important? It allows for a baseline to establish different tourism sector priorities. It also allows the focus to tailor-make a strategy to the needs of the territory, because as we know, there are different needs of different areas. And it allows for a long-term and inclusive development of strategies to encourage circular tourism as opposed to the mainstream tourism that most areas are facing now. So the participatory tool is based on the foundation of the European Awareness Scenario Workshop, which allows for high innovation and collaboration with stakeholders. And there are two main activities that are involved. So you have the vision-making activity and the idea generation activity. So basically, there are different, as I mentioned, stakeholders that can be involved in the SWGs, so in the stakeholder working groups. They apply a common vision that they would like to see for their territory with a focus on energy, mobility, waste, and water management. Okay. And then you have the results that you would like to see inputted into a regional national strategy and eventually the local action plans. I will explain the action plans further along the line. So there are envisioned to be a total of 4 stakeholder working groups. You have most areas that have partner areas that have created the strategies have currently held 3 stakeholder working groups. So the first one is to focus on the bottlenecks of the area, so what can be improved. The second is to define a common vision that the tourism area would like to be enacted. And the third is to identify the main targets and related measures and define responsibilities, timing, and funding for the strategy's enactment. The 4th SWG will kind of be a closing meeting that will allow the presentation of the strategy and also to consult with stakeholders to fine-tune and continuously monitor the strategy's development, and also to continue the local action plans development. I should mention that out of the Encircled project partners, 5 partners have currently created their strategies. So these include Albania, the Balearic Islands, Cyprus, region of Crete, and Malta. So these 5 areas have created a strategy, and it's basically finalized, but through these additional stakeholder working groups and further consultation, these strategies will be updated throughout time and continuously monitored for their improvement. So based on the stakeholder working groups, there was a total of almost 100 ideas that were received basically from the feedback of these meetings. You have almost 20 ideas per project pillars, so for energy, waste management, sustainability, and water management. And you also have 17 horizontal ideas. So this is basically almost 20 ideas that are cross-cutting. So they have focus on energy, waste, mobility, and water. They're not just focused on one pillar alone. Now, where the Energy and Water Agency is involved, so we're a project partner, and we were responsible for the strategies evaluation. So we have the results from the SWGs, and now we need to concretely input that into a strategy development and then evaluate how circular in nature that strategy actually is. So the Energy and Water Agency created an evaluation toolkit, which is comprised of 2 documents. So you have the first document, which is the strategy evaluation framework document, which can act as a guidance or a model for the users that are wanting to evaluate their strategy, and offers different explanations of measures and metrics, which will result in a circular score. So the second document is basically where the results of the strategy are inputted. So it's a strategy summary template. So you input the results into this template, and it allows for a scoring method and the final result. So to try explain very briefly, as you can see, there's a framework in place, which is comprised of specific measures and metrics based on the 5 Encircled principles. So you have the reduce, regenerate, rethink, innovate, and revalue principle. And each principle focuses on the 4 metrics, so water, energy, waste, and mobility, and it has a horizontal approach as well. So what measures also have a cross-cutting nature. So the metrics are also given a different weighting and rating, a scoring method, basically, that I will explain in the next slide. But basically, the main focus is to see how inclusive the strategy is of these different principles with a focus on the different pillars. So for example, if we take the reduce principle and its 4 metrics, each metric can have up to 5 measures, so focusing on either water, energy, waste, or mobility. And the 4 pillars are given a weighting of 2, and if any measures fall under the horizontal metric, they're given a weighting of 4. So they're kind of given more importance because they are cross-cutting in nature. And then depending on if the measure is present or not, it can get a score of either 0, 1, or 2. You have the first equation, which allows for the complete scoring of the strategy. So it includes the 5 principles. And then for the calculation of each principle score, you have to include the weighting and the rating of each measure type. This toolkit and basically a result of the project is very important because it takes different strategic aspects into account, including a financial breakdown for the implementation of circular measures. It allows for the monitoring and evaluation of these measures by assigning responsibilities to different stakeholders. And it also sets up timelines and a timing and basically holding each measure to a specific timeline. So you either have a short, medium, or long-term timeline. So once you have these measures and their financial estimates and the evaluation, who's going to evaluate the strategy's success, basically this allows for you to evaluate it long-term. So what we have on the screen here is on the left, you have the assessment of the 5 different strategies that were created. So the number of measures that each strategy included. And then on the right, you have the scoring. So the scoring is a percentage based on the evaluation toolkit. And it must be said that these scores are just indicative of the baseline of the strategy. So obviously, with the 4th stakeholder working group and continuous consultation with the different tourism stakeholders, this score can only basically increase. So we have a foundation of the circular strategy, and now it can be improved. So it's a very good foundation. A lot of strategies have a lot of measures and are very well formulated. So some recommendations as to improving the long-term sustainability of a circular tourism strategy. It must have a good initial design. So if it has a very strong foundation and takes all different aspects into account, it will probably work. You must also consider the effectiveness of the implementation, monitoring, and enforcement. So assigning responsibilities to who is going to manage the success of the strategy in its long term. It must also be efficient in its nature, and it must be realistic, but also it cannot be too optimistic, but it shouldn't opt for basically a small shift. It should be optimistic in nature, basically. So the combination of all these recommendations will allow for the effectiveness to contribute to the territorial and sectoral needs, allowing for achievement of wider policy objectives. From the strategies assessment, what we found out basically is that partner territories are characterized by different distinct socioeconomic situations, which is to be expected as they're different regions. All the strategies show a level of commitment by the stakeholders involved, as they're very well formulated, and that this progress should be acknowledged as an important achievement in moving towards a circular tourism economy in the Mediterranean region, basically. And through the different strategies, this was reflected by the current baseline situation in these areas. And there were a lot of measures currently in place in these 5 different territories. And also the strategy process itself has allowed to bring together different stakeholders that might not have been consulted in the first place. And it allows the creation of the needs, visions, and goals for each circular tourism sector. So that was basically an explanation of the strategy evaluation toolkit. So the participatory process allowing for the strategy's development and evaluation. I will now move on to basically just giving a brief overview of the local action plan, which goes hand in hand with the strategy. We were also responsible for the kind of creating the foundation, the template for the local action plan. So once the 5 territories have created their strategy, they also had to create a regional action plan, which is basically setting up concrete deadlines for the measures to be enacted. And on a more local scale, you have partner regions in the same area that carried out a local action plan, which was more focused for waste, water, energy, and mobility to the local tourism sector. A brief outline of the template structure. So you have an introductory section where you ask for basically the visions that want to be achieved through this action plan. There's a section requiring a methodology explanation. So basically who will be responsible for gathering the data, monitoring it, and possibly updating it with prior consultation. So then there's also a section for a SWOT analysis to further understand the current situation in that area. It sets requirements for how and stakeholders will be involved and at what frequency will they be consulted. And then it also gives a section regarding action plan implementation. And in relation to this, you have the objectives and actions for this action plan, and they have to focus on these high-level objectives, measures, and actions for each of the 4 pillars, including the horizontal pillar. And it has a specific focus on responsibilities, financial resources, and a target necessary for these actions to be implemented. So it starts by setting out key performance indicators for each pillar, for waste, energy, water, and mobility. And then it asks for a kind of baseline approach and the target to be reached after the action plan has been implemented. That is it from my end. I don't know if anyone has any questions regarding either the strategy development and evaluation or the local action plan.
Thank you, Julia. Are there any questions? Especially about the participatory, I guess. No. One thing that I would be interested for you to comment as given the experience of the 2 years, this is a conversation we had with Evdokia before, is how to overcome the difficulties of getting people involved in this very structured participatory process that you propose.
So I'm not sure if Fabio would like to chime in, since he was also involved in the participatory process.
I don't know whether Fabio is still with us.
Yes, sorry, can you repeat the question? I missed the first part.
Yes, Fabio, I wonder, what an overview of the challenges presented already, given the experience of those 2 years, of the difficulties involved in getting all those people participating in such a structured way. Because this is something that we are going to face it again with the replicating territories, and I think this is one of the most difficult tasks of the project, participation.
Yeah. Involving stakeholders is not always easy, especially the business sectors, because they are focused on their usual business. And I think that the important factor is communication. It should be clear to them what the aim of the participatory process is, and to explain clearly what are the benefits that the participation could bring. It is important from my point of view, but I would like also then to have the feedback of the partners that have practically implemented in their area, that this process will lead to take an important decision. And it is important that they are involved and contribute to the decision that will be taken. I think that from my side, this could be the key for success. But as I said, perhaps the other partners that are there and that implemented practically the stakeholder working groups can share their experience.
Allow me, Fabio, also to say a little bit of the experience of Cyprus, because we've seen a lot of main areas of focus. We have waste, we have mobility, water, energy. So it means that there is a lot of governmental departments, a lot of local authorities that you have to involve, different sectors from the tourism and also the companies as well. We tried to communicate them from the beginning. The need to have a circular economy strategy for Cyprus is something that so far we didn't have, even though in the different, let's say, strategies for water, for, let's say, mobility, there is some measures that you can describe them as a circular economy. So we tried to communicate from the beginning, all the time, keeping them updated. It was not difficult to bring them all together, but before we were starting the discussions, even going and seeing one by one, so they could get the first, let's say, idea of what is the project, of what we are trying to do. When we had, for example, the first results from the indicators, we sent them a page, just a page to get the first idea of what we had from the project. And slowly trying to put them into this process, keeping them all the time updated of the work that we do. This is the only way, and try to make them feel that they are the ones that they do this strategy. They are the ones that their voice has a power. They're trying to change something for the area, for the destination.
Also, it is to their benefit as well. Yes. So, if there are any other questions, we can release Julia, because I know she doesn't have time to stay with us for the entire workshop. And I will give over the stage to Evdokia, who is going to present us from Anatel, which is the Larnaca and Famagusta District Development Agency. The regional strategy developed for circular tourism in the context of Incircle. She already started. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Good luck for the rest of the session.
Thank you.
I need to use that. Okay. Okay, let's move now with our experience from Cyprus for a national, let's say, strategy on the circular economy. But first, I will present some data when we first started with the project that they may be a little bit shocking for us in Cyprus. Cypriots produce 642 kilos of municipal waste per person. We are one of the lowest in the Mediterranean, the third lowest. There is 2 more countries that they are above us. But if you take in mind also during the summertime when we have the different tourists, that means that the population of our country is doubled. This goes even higher to 740 kilos per person. The circular material use rate is really very low. We are the lowest in Europe, 2.8%. As for the car ownership, don't ask. We do everything with our cars. Wherever we go, we use the cars. We don't use public transport. Very, very few people is using the public transport. Again, we are the lowest in the EU. As for the water demand, even though that the basic water needs for a human is up to, let's say, 50 liters, we consume 200 liters. Energy intensity is higher than of any other Mediterranean EU country. We are using a lot of oil products. 89% of the primary energy demand is based on oil products, even though that we are a country with 300 days of sunshine. So where is our renewable resources? As I said before, we don't have any comprehensive national strategy to promote circular economy. And of course, we need to modernize a little bit our regulatory system. And if you ask the people what is circular economy, most probably they will say you recycle. So we have a lot of things that we needed to take in mind when we're trying to do this circular economy for Cyprus. Moving on, this is the operational model of the Encircled project, and it shows actually what our previous speakers speak about. At the first, it shows that at the first circle, you see all the principles of the circular economy: reduce, evaluate, regenerate, rethink, and innovate. And inside, you see the steps that you have to do if you want to go through making a strategy or an action plan for your area. And as you see, in the middle is the governance. So the importance of having the different stakeholders on board with us, because they are the ones that they will put down the vision and the goals, the targets, and then to define the different measures and find the different funding, which is again, let's say, one benefit in order to engage the stakeholders, because with this way you can define and find, let's say, the funding, because always we are saying, okay, we want to do things, but where is the funding? So this is another thing to, let's say, trigger them to participate. And of course, how we do the monitoring and the assessment. So this is the first results from the circular assessment report, what our colleagues presented before this with all these indicators. It's not so difficult. It's a bit difficult to collect the data, but as when you find them, it gives you a very good, let's say, report of where you're standing. Concerning Cyprus, it seems that we are a concerned, let's say, destination. We are aware that, okay, circular economy is crucial, but we have a limited understanding of what is its opportunities, what is the potentials, not only for environmental, but also for economic development sides. And if you see where we are standing compared to the different capitals, we will say that in the natural and social capital, we are a little bit higher, okay, below the 50% even though, but for human and built capital, we are really, really very low. And there is a lot of things that we need to improve in order to move forward. So what was it faces, what challenges we faced at the beginning? As I said before, it was, we are speaking about a lot of relevant policies, a lot of governmental departments. I mean, I find, I don't know, 6, 7 different strategic documents for energy, for climate, for water, for transport, for waste, and this makes it a little bit difficult to really, let's say, put them in under one big umbrella. As I said, we are trying to do something from the scratch. There was nothing at that time concerning circular economy. And also, since we are focusing on the tourist sector and the tourist strategy that it was recently announced, it does not tackle any of the issues of wastewater and energy. It's more like generic and moving more to experience tourism. And they are not also the ones that they are responsible for all these sectors. And so we had to make a strategy that is accepted from everyone. The key point was who is going to monitor the strategy. Since we have all of these people and all these stakeholders to interfere. And also to identify all of the relevant stakeholders, because we wanted to have the voice from everyone. And meaning from everyone, not only from policymakers, from the business organizations, from academia and different universities that they have a more, let's say, research-oriented review of the circular economy. And of course, we wanted the NGOs, our civil society, which were also volunteering, and they are the ones that they are more active. So we organized three stakeholder meeting groups. At the beginning, defining at the first one, what are our main, let's say, difficulties, challenges that we face in Cyprus. On the second one, we started to put the vision of what we want to do in Cyprus, what kind of goals we want to put down. And at the third one, we started to define slowly the measures and to try to match it with different funding opportunities that we have in the European Union and international. Something that it worked very good, it was these 4 online webinars. We did something like what we do now, a small, let's say, workshop where we had invited a lot of important people. We had the Commissioner of Environment, we had the Deputy Minister of Tourism into the panel, we had the Minister of Agriculture, we had the Minister of Energy and Trade, which that make a lot of impress to the people and to the stakeholders. It worked really very well, and it gave a lot of diffusion of the results of the project and what we wanted to do here in Cyprus. So from all this, what was the main vision that we ended up? To establish Cyprus as an environmental conscious destination that, as I said before, one of the goals of the tourist strategy is to offer memorable tourist experiences, but at the same time to improve the quality of life of Cypriots. Imagine when in an island during 4 or 5 months of the year, which is the high touristic season, you are concentrating double population. Imagine what is the pressure on the natural resources and the pressure on the quality of life also of the people. So what we want to do is to also make it better for the Cypriots. And then we have the same subvisions for the different thematic areas of the project. For the waste management to have an effective use of our water resources and to secure that we have a good quality and protection of our water resources and water environment. For the waste management to implement the waste hierarchy and change a little bit the habits of the consumers. For the mobility to make Cyprus more accessible, more clean, developing the public transport that we don't use and find different others alternative ways of transportation, like the cycling, and for energy to make us more energy efficiency using renewable energy sources. And here we see the different objectives for each of the thematics. For the waste management, as an objective, we put down that we want to secure the water requirements, not only for the tourist sector, but for all of the sectors of the economy and meet them as much as possible. Effective use of the water resource and secure the quality and protection of the water environment. For the waste management, to find ways of how we can increase the separate collection of the municipal solid waste and increase our recycling and the recyclable materials that go back to the production process. That is the circularity indicator that I presented before, that is only 2.8% for Cyprus. To be able to have a separate collection for the municipal organic waste, to start collecting and processing this data and put them into the decision making. So we are collecting data, but most of the times we don't put down and interpret what this data is saying to us and use them to the decisions. And of course, to create capacity building, start to educate and train and to raise awareness of the public in the local management, especially for recycling, reduce, and rethink. For the energy, we had 3 objectives here: to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, to increase the share of RES in energy consumption. For Cyprus, the goal was set to 20%. So far, the new statistics that I checked before I come here is 13.8%. So we still have a lot of way to go forward, and to improve also the energy efficiency of the country. For the mobility, we want all of our main cities to have a SAMP. So far, Nicosia and Limassol has. Larnaca is on the way, and I think they are doing a great job. And then colleagues from Larnaca will present you what they do with their mobility. Of course, to reduce this dependency we have from the private cars. I'll give you an example. I live only 2 kilometers from my house, and I go with my car every day, which I could actually walk or take a bike and go. It wouldn't be so much time. But this is what we do here in Cyprus. And of course, implement some new innovative, let's say, technologies, the intelligent transport systems. Let's see now the measures. Okay, we put the goals. How can we do that? And how can we have, let's say, a change and move towards a circular economy? One thing is our legislation. It needs quite a lot of amendments to be done in order to introduce the separate disposal and make it now mandatory for the tourist companies, and also for all of the sectors of the economy and for the local government. There is a very big need to make a study of how we can utilize larger quantities of these tourist-related waste and how we can reuse them. And with this way, from the results of the study, it could be afterwards a scheme that will help them with the funding to invest in the integration of recycled material. So in this way, you give them an incentive that some money would be given to you, because always the companies are complaining that, okay, we have ideas, but where is the funding? So we thought that it would be a very good idea to help them to move towards circularity. To complete the network of green points, now it's very well developed, but it needs a lot through its implementation. We saw some problems, and as Larnaca and Famagusta District Development Agency, we are dealing with this, let's say, having the administration of some of our green points in our area, so we see some problems during their work. And of course, to raise this awareness with training programs to schools, to the tourist sector, to make them change a little bit the mindset. And of course, starting to collect the different data and process them for a decision-making tool. In the energy, we will do a scheme in order to encourage the tourist companies to take some measures towards the reduction of greenhouse emissions, and of course incentives that already they have been given from before to buy a low zero emission vehicles, but it will be specialized focus for the tourist related companies. So we want to move from the conventional to go to hybrid, to plug-in hybrid and electric cars. Another very good scheme is district heating and cooling based on RDF fire concession technologies. Also energy efficiency interventions in the touristic buildings. And of course, energy efficiency street lighting is almost now finished in all over Cyprus, and this is something very good for us. For mobility, as I said before, we want to make these sustainable urban mobility plans for all our major cities in Cyprus, and to solve the mobility problems and planning for a better and sustainable cities. We need to have these intelligent transport systems. There was a study before, there's going to be made another one in order how we can, let's say, enhance this in the public transport and enhance also the people to move towards the public transport, and also promote bicycle as a mean of transportation. This is the Minister of Transport. It was recently launched let's say, the local action plan for mobility and for giving, let's say, a funding to buy a bicycle. I will say you from the first day, there were so many demand from the people that it was sold out. But it's really good. It means that the people are actually wanting this to move towards bicycle. For the water management, this is a problem that we have in Cyprus. It's a country that we don't have so much rain, so we need to collect water, so we need a lot of storage tanks and a lot of, let's say, works to be done towards this to save water. We are already having some desalination systems in Cyprus, but we still need to increase the recycle rate of water use, and also more sewage systems that they will go beyond the first and secondary treatment and go to the tertiary treatment as well. And of course, to create awareness to the schools, because they are the ambassadors of our new generation, of how they can save water and things that they can do in order to let's say, aware that water is precious and we need to safeguard it and not to waste it. We have also some horizontal measures. The elaboration of a wise tourist index that is responsible, the Deputy Ministry of Tourism, is a methodology for, let's say, monitoring sustainable tourism measures in the different local authorities in the municipalities. And with this way, they will do it every year. But first of all, as soon as they develop this wise tourist index, there will be an education to the local authorities of how to collect data and how they can interpret the results. To run a visual pollution initiative, there is, if you come to Cyprus, there is a lot of spots of waste. We throw them wherever we want. Unfortunately, this is something we do. So they're going to run a visual pollution initiative to eliminate all these dark spots, as we say, and start to make an education program, name it Care for Cyprus. And the third one is to foster a carbon food reduction. Now they are processing with the development of a tool for calculating the carbon footprint. They will launch also training and support to the tourist sector and a manual of how they can use it, and a carbon footprint friendly company program. So the timeline, it goes until 2030, but maybe it will go a little bit more. I think it's a little bit few the time. So we see here the short-term, the mid-term, and the long-term scenario as it was defined by the project, and where we want to see the different let's say, measures being implemented. Just, I'm not going to go through this too much, but I will speak a little bit about the monitoring and evaluation. As you see in the different, let's say, sectors that we were focusing, we have different ministries that they are on the top. So what has happened is that at the top level, we have, let's say, an executive team that we have a member from all these departments at this executive team that they are responsible to monitor the implementation of the Cyprus strategy. And in the different, let's say, groups, each department is monitoring its own strategy, because there is a strategy for water development that includes this kind of measures. So they have an annual report. Of course, they meet every 2 months to discuss anything that is happening. And there is also a backup team of external experts that they have the role of the external consultant. And now they are in the phase to prepare something as a control software that it will be very user-friendly for them to share. And it will be like a balanced scoreboard that it will display where we are reaching the different goals and with the different measures. It's like a traffic light showing them that if there is somewhere red, it means that we are behind. If we are orange, it means that we are going kind of well, but we need to keep a bit of attention. And in the green light, it means that everything is going according to the plan. As for how it's going to be funded, it's a multi-funding strategy. We are expecting now with the new operational programs for the cohesion policy funds, mainly from ERDF and ESF. There is an amount of money that has been put by the rural development program from the Cyprus tourist strategy, and some amount of money for our national budget. It's quite big, but mostly because we have a lot of works for the water management that is already has been foreseen into the budget until 2030. Some first measures that they have been put in place, and already we see some launching of calls and so on. We had, on 27th of July, we had the Minister of Energy, Commerce and Industry and Agriculture and Rural Development and the Deputy Minister of Research and Innovation and Digital Policy that already they launched a budget of 90 millions for the different measures to change the cultural mindset of circular economy with different information campaigns, on the business community, on the opportunities of the circular economy, and also to enhance more the implementation of the pay-as-you-throw system, to providing incentives for investment in the circular economy, of a consulting and financial guidance plan with the development of Go Circular grants. So this is going to be 15,000 per company to have this Go Circular grant scheme. The development of circular economy infrastructures with a total amount of 2 million to identify, as I said before, what is the appropriate waste streams to be declassified, to make an online sharing platform, and to create integrated system of supervision and monitoring of the different waste management projects. And also for the municipal waste management, there will be soon a scheme for the pay-as-you-throw and for the network of the green recycle points in order to help the remote communities to move towards organic waste of the repair and reuse, reduction of separate collection, and waste recovering plan. And finally, this is the scheme we said before. This is again our minister. Of course, where we had a 4 million scheme to promote the bicycle as a means of transport with bicycle lanes, traffic arrangements, the rental of electric bicycles, incentive, as I said before, to buy new bicycles, in subsidies for bike repairs, where I'm expecting this soon because I have a bike and it needs some repairings, and some other measures like electric bicycles. So how we see this as a benefit for our country, for the circular economy? Of course, it has multiple benefits for the environment, the society, and the economy. We are trying to move towards the reversal of the climate change and reduce our greenhouse emissions. As we know from the Green Deal, for 2050, we need to be with the zero emissions. Hopefully, let's see that how we can reach this goal. It gives a lot of opportunities for the business. It makes them more competitive. It gives them more sustainability, and this gives them also reputation. And also trying to reduce our greenhouse emissions, make us reusing our raw materials, improving our energy efficiency of the country, and of course, reduce our dependency from the private cars. So what we want to do is make our countries more circular and achieve these zero emissions for 2050, and let's make our, let's say, Mediterranean more greener. Thank you very much. I'm open to questions if you have any, or... See in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's not the most important. Short, present. Yeah. Hi. Maybe it's not the most important thing in your presentation, and it was probably touched upon by the previous speakers, but I think I missed it. And could you elaborate a little bit more on the difference between human capital and social capital? Because, okay, built capital, natural capital, I remember the examples, and it's also easier to understand. But
yeah, I think I will give this the
because there was a big
there is
gap,
I will give the floor,
especially in regards to the examples you gave from Cypriot society and...
Maybe I will give the floors to our colleagues from the St. Anna School, because they're the ones that they developed this kind of a model, and they can give us a better explanation of what exactly indicators they have in there. Are they with us?
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Here. Okay, to try to answer. And sorry, but in the short time for the previous presentation, so I will try to give you some more detailed examples regarding the difference between the human and the social capital. The human capital has the focus of the individuals that live within the tourism destination, within the territory. So, for example, the local communities. So, for example, there is an indicator, a question, which is addressed to investigate if the tourism destination has developed proper guidelines, proper indications to raise the awareness level of local communities to undertake more attention to a behavior that is more in synchrony with the principle of the circular economy. Other aspect, for example, again, for the human capital is referred to the presence within the tourist destination of recreational opportunities. For example, green areas or green infrastructure that can restore, regenerate the human well-being that live within that territory. Or along this, the tourism offer that is linked to this aspect of the green or the environment and so on. Regarding the social capital, the main focus is the development process of action plan strategies regarding the circular mobility, the circular waste management, for example, the investments, the economic effort undertook by the tourist destination to develop strategies that is addressed to prevent the waste creation. At the same time, again, in the social capital, other aspects are the efforts that the tourist destination has undertook to create a networking among the different tourist sectors. So the support towards the tourism sectors, the tourism business as hotels, campsites, and so on, to take this sort of transition to start to take into consideration also sustainable circular issues within their activities and daily life. Or other aspects are the commitment level, again, of the tourism destination, the local authorities, to develop strategies that is focused on environmental, social, and economic aspect. Again, to support this transition for the tourism sector as a whole towards circularity and sustainability. So the difference is that the human capital is mainly focused on all the actions that the tourist destination has undertook for the individuals that live in the territories, tourists, local communities, and tourism workers. Regarding the social capital, the focus is more higher. So in that case, the focus is the local plans, the action plans, and all the efforts that the tourist destination has undertook to create a tourist sector within that specific tourism territory that is integrated with circular economy, sustainable, and so on. I don't know if I have given the answer. Regarding the built capital, the focus is all the effort on the infrastructure. So the road, the treatment plant for the waste, the treatment plant for provides the water, the energy, according to a circular perspective. So, for example, the effort for the renewable energy or the reuse of the water after that this water is treated by this secondary or tertiary water management plant, and so on.
Thank you very much. I think answer cover you. Okay. Any other question? From the chat, something? No. Okay, then we will move to my colleagues from Larnaca, from my city, to Langelidou. The floor is yours.
I will take again.
I'm Dula Angelidou. I'm working as a town planner at Larnaca Municipality. At first, I will try to give you a taste of Larnaca. Larnaca is the third largest city of Cyprus. The population is approximately, the urban area, 80,000 people. and the regional area 140,000 population. For us and for tourists, I think Larnaca is a unique city, and let's see why. It's a place of many places. It has 25 kilometers waterfront, has the national airport, port, marina. It's 4,000 years old city, so many historical places, and also a very important natural beauties, the salt lakes, which is cover of Ramsar and Natura, it's Natura area. You can see the green areas. We have these fantastic beaches, very interesting monuments, medieval castle, the Asian port, one of the 4th Asian port in Mediterranean, marine etiquettes. The city is conveniently compact. The city center diameter is less than 1,000 meters, and the distance is less than 4 kilometers, everything in a small distances. Also, this city is with short elevation. The biggest area, as you can see in this map, is between 2 and 4 meters. This is beautiful to walk, to bike, but I don't know what happened with the climate change. So in this project, we work under the pillar of sustainable mobility to promote bicycle and alternative kind of friendly kind of mobility. The objectives of to promote, to minimize also the emission and the pollution, and invest in promoting sustainable mobility and circular tourism. The main idea was to, we tried to promote alternative means of transport through walking and cycling. The main idea was to install bicycle stations in a key city location, where organized tourist group and help with the help of a tourist guide, they can bicycle around the city. Because of COVID period and all, we can organize this group. These groups, so we have to adapt and to the new reality, and then we bought these 55 bicycles and we gave them at 11 hotels in the city, each 5 bicycles each hotel. So tourists and locals can use the bicycle and also equipment for bicycle, helmet, locks, and use this bicycle for free in the city. The hotel owners are responsible to keep it safe and to keep records about the users. And the municipality of Larnaca is responsible for maintenance and repair, for the repair costs. The feedback that we have is approximately 20 users each hotel a month. maybe this is not so good, but because of COVID and all the problems that you have to take care, we think that is, after all of this, we can double and all this going more. Also, you can see some photos of the promoting of these bicycles. Also, with these bicycles, we upgrade the cultural walk of Larnaca. Each walk takes in a different aspect of the city. We have the walk seafront and town center, the archaeological and museum walk, and culture and nature. When we say upgrade, we redesign actually these routes that it will be more safety for cycling and for cyclists and pedestrians. But each user, they can do it alone by himself, not guide, but it's easy to have help because we have materials like flyers, and also with a barcode can use the internet and have the map, the routes, and many other information. Also, we create 2 new special routes, the multi-regius route and the bird watching route. In Larnaca, we have a lot of monuments and natural areas, so it's very important. And tourists and locals can visit this place easily. This is photos from our salt lake. You can see the flyers, and this barcode, you can find it at the stations of bicycles and many materials of tourist boards, so you can connect with the internet. This project is small, but it fully complements and supports our municipality efforts to promote sustainable mobility with the work that are currently being materialized in the city. Να το δείξουμε το βίντεο. Έχουμε ένα βίντεο που ετοιμάστηκε, νομίζω ξεκίνησε να παίζει.
Can we show the video?
Αυτό είναι από την αγορά των ποδηλάτων, μόλις παραληφθήκαν από την πόλη.
Είμαστε ιδιαίτερα χαρούμενοι που σήμερα εγκαινιάζουμε, έχουμε την εκδήλωση για το ευρωπαϊκό πρόγραμμα Encircled, μαζί πάντα με την εταιρεία τουριστικής ανάπτυξης, ένα πρόγραμμα που προωθεί την βιώσιμη τουριστική ανάπτυξη, προωθεί την κυκλική οικονομία. Με αυτήν την συμβολική εκδήλωση σήμερα δίνουμε το μήνυμα της σημασίας του ποδηλάτου, το πόσο θα βοηθήσει την Κύπρο, την Λάρνακα, ένα νησί, στον βιώσιμο τουρισμό η χρησιμοποίηση του ποδηλάτου. Παραχώρησε 55 ποδηλάτων σε ξενοδοχεία της πόλης, τα οποία ακριβώς θα χρησιμοποιούνται για αυτόν τον σκοπό. Να γνωρίζουν οι τουρίστες καλύτερα την πόλη μας, αλλά πάντα να χρησιμοποιούν βιώσιμους τρόπους μετακίνησης που προστατεύουν το περιβάλλον.
Η σημερινή εκδήλωση είναι ακόμα μια απόδειξη ότι η Λάρνακα βαδίζει στο στόχο της να γίνει πράσινη πόλη.
Συγκεκριμένα είχαμε αναπτύξει 8 θεματικές ποδηλατικές διαδρομές. Ορισμένες εξ αυτών ήταν η διαδρομή κτηνοπαρατήρησης, η διαδρομή νου και γαστρονομίας, η διαδρομή ενετικών πύργων, και άλλες οι οποίες είναι τόσο στην ιστοσελίδα της Εταιρείας Τουριστικής Ανάπτυξης Λάρνακας, όσο και με το QR code που όπως προανέφερε ο Δήμαρχος θα τοποθετηθούν τα ποδήλατα στα διάφορα ξενοδοχεία της πόλης με τη σάρωση του συγκεκριμένου κωδικού. Μπορεί κάποιος να μεταβεί στην ιστοσελίδα για να μπορεί να δει τις συγκεκριμένες διαδρομές.
Καλούμε όλους να συμμετέχουν, όχι μόνο σήμερα αλλά και καθημερινά στη χρήση του ποδηλάτου για άλλων μέσων μεταφοράς, ούτως ώστε να μειώσουμε την εκπομπή διοξειδίου του άνθρακος και να γίνουμε καθαρά μια πράσινη πόλη.
Έχουμε... Sorry, you have more. So from 2020, we have also our Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan. It's a strategic plan. All cities have to create this plan because it's very important to do things and promote alternative means of transport. On the right, you can see Larnaca. 90% we use the car, and only 2% use bike or prefer to walk and public transport. Our scope is 20% to change this low percentage and do more about sustainability. We have to work hard, and we work hard the last 2 years in many actions. Now with this plan, we have a program with the city center for pedestrianization to improve pedestrian crossing facilities. Here you can see the existing pedestrian areas and the plan about pedestrian areas for 2025 and 30. This is for the bicycle network. You can see the existing and the program that we have to implementing more bicycle network for the next years. And also for the transport measures to make it better. Let's see if Larnaca is moving in the right direction and what are we trying to do with the public space for the public, because public space is for the public. Here we have some projects that we finished the last 10 years with EU funding. Is the medieval castle square with facilities for bicycle, pedestrians, people with special needs. The Ermou Square, Bialev Pasha Promenade. You can see on your left how the area was and how we can enjoy now the urban space. In the city center, we create shared space areas, and we hope the next years we will have car-free zones. It's a little bit difficult, but we feel that we can do it. Agiu Lazaru neighborhood, Medieval Square, Phase B. And also, we tried to give new experiences in the city with new uses. We create multicultural space and creative center in a listed building. It finished the last 2 months. Larnaca Municipal Market is under construction, and probably next 2 months is finished. Zuhuri Square also is under construction. All this, as I said, is from EU fundings. And now some projects that we are under study. We redesign green areas, give more experience for people. Here we have the Salt Lake area with the environmental center, skate parks, and more interesting things for kids, people, visitors, tourists. The Mesogios Park at the Piale Pasha neighborhood with new surfaces, more green, places for modern statues, an opera gallery. The Salina Park also is under, it was from an architecture competition, and at the end of the year we have documents to start the implementation of this project. The streets renovation and with urban facilities for bicycles, for pedestrians, for more greens, for people for special needs, Phaneromenia Avenue. We try to have happy locals, and this is also for happy tourists. This happened in Larnaca the last 3 years. We have international events, more sociable events in the streets for people, enjoy the city in a new way. We have the triathlon. The triathlon is very important. The last 4 years happened in the city center, not far from the city. People from abroad, athletes from abroad come and take part, and also at the Radisson Marathon. This is a photo for 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Yes, in Larnaca. And we tried to learn from the past for the future. On your left, you can see how was Larnaca years ago, and what we have now with the new projects and all we try to create for people and tourists. This is my favorite picture because I'm happy to see tourists come from airport to our city or from our city to the airport. So show us how sustainable can we do the next generation for our city. We don't stop. We try to find more alternative way to move in this city. Καλές γιορτές. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm actually impressed because I'm living in the city and I see the things that the municipality is doing all these years. And of course, the first thing is to do the necessary infrastructure for the pedestrians, for the people to walk, to enjoy different sports and give a different, let's say, modes of transportation and with different activities, combining what we had in the old times, like we saw with the people swimming, and combine it again today. And I think we're going to see a very beautiful city soon with all these new projects. I was really impressed with Aligi, because this Aligi is not far. It's very connected and everything is very compact. Imagine you can park in the Finigudes parking and you can walk for 3.5 kilometers and you can enjoy the sea, the city. You can go to the Mackenzie area, have your coffee and come back, which is rather easy. And with the bike as well, is not very far to go. So thank you for that. Is any question for our colleagues? Yeah.
Not really a question, just a comment. In the framework of the Urban Transports project, which is also an Interreg MED project, and it is coordinating the mobility-related projects of the Interreg MED, we had the pleasure to work with the Municipality of Larnaca. The Municipality of Larnaca was associated with the Cyprus Energy Agency, and it took part in a mentoring scheme that was led by the metropolitan area of Barcelona and coordinated by us, CIVINET Greece and Cyprus. It was about the transferring of the knowledge from the Bisivia network in Barcelona to Larnaca. So we had various meetings and we ended up with an action plan on how the good practices could be transferred. We worked with Mr. Karakatsanis, which we saw him in the video, and also with Cyprus Energy Agency. Later on in the next workshop that will start at 12, we will have Marina Kyriakou from the Cyprus Energy Agency, and she will present us the lessons learned from the mentoring scheme. So just to answer perhaps to your question whether Larnaca is moving to the right direction, we can certainly say that the municipality is taking many, many steps towards the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comment, question? Can I ask something? Yeah.
Just a short question about moving to our colleagues. One more question for Larnaca, if you know. This move towards sustainable mobility policy, I see that it always really emphasizes on bike and on various very impressive regeneration projects acquiring public space from cars in the city. What about public transport? Because I see that your hopes for shifting mobility from cars to public transport are quite modest.
Yes. As you know, the public transport is under of government responsibility, but we push a lot. First, I want to say that we are in a good way to create the public transport station, because now the promenade is working as a public transport center. All lines, hundreds of buses go through the promenade of Finigudes. And we always involve to give our suggestions and ask for government department, the responsible department, to help us to create the transport system better. Now we thought they will be better because we have the SAM, the Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan. And the team worked a lot about this for a lot of suggestions. So
there's no thinking of creating public transport at the level of the municipality of Larnaca. You remain with the public transport of the local.
This is a problem of the whole Cyprus, I think. Is managed from the government. Okay. Only Nicosia has, the municipality has their own. We ask to have the city center area with the small buses, but this is an under
Yes.
discussion also.
Because here in Greece, it's more regionally or at the municipal level organized.
The contract that they have with the company for the buses is not easy to manage this. We really talk to have some circulations in the city with the small buses, but it's under discussion.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry about my English and I feel stressed.
But I may say that a lot of things change with the Cyprus transport company. There is more time routes and more routes going, bringing people to Larnaca from the different villages and going to the airport as well. Before we didn't have. And there is also an application and a tourist card which enhance a little bit the tourists if they want to, let's say, move to the villages of Larnaca, because we have also beautiful villages in our district to move from the city center and go to the villages and come. So steps has been put forward.
20 minutes, 20, 30
yeah,
minutes.
Yeah, it's very close. Yeah,
place,
yeah,
so.
It's very easy and close. Yeah.
Okay. So if we don't have any other questions, we can move to our last speaker. Vasilis Myriakefalitakis from Rethymno. He will also offer us a view of the local action plan and the pilot demonstrators.
Good morning to everybody. I am Vasilis Myriakefalitakis, advisor to the mayor. Working for the municipality for approximately 10 years, basically on sustainable issues. And I'm also the project manager of the Encircled project. So since we are out of time, I will try to be as brief as possible. Προς τα κάτω? Okay. First of all, I will make a presentation of the Encircled demonstrator activities. What actually are the Encircled circular economy pillars are energy, water, waste, and mobility. How was the idea for the first demonstrator generated? Is to promote renewable energy sources and also the use of e-cars. So, what we are actually looking for, green energy for green vehicles. And the goal is to use the photovoltaic installations for charging in cars, e-bikes, and e-scooters. So, what is the first demonstrator of the city of Rethymno? As I have already told you, renewable energy sources for e-mobility. We have installed 2 solar carports, one for 4 cars and one for 8 cars, to produce the energy for the electric vehicle stations. And also in the project, we have installed an extra charging station for 2 cars simultaneously, and also installed a micro-mobility charging station. You know, micro-mobility is in our life, and we have to give the infrastructures for the users. Additionally, we have placed the required information and sites by the project, and we have introduced an online monitoring platform for the power produced and consumed. The first installation of a carport was in the central parking lot of Rethymno. The solar carport is producing, has an installed 20 kilowatts peak power. We have installed 1 charging station for 2 cars, up to 22 kilowatts power. Also, we have installed 5 chargers with 4 outlets each for charging e-bikes and e-scooters, and 2 bike racks for 10 e-bikes in total. The photovoltaic was installed to the low voltage grid, and we are using net metering for energy compensation. What net metering is? We compensate the energy produced to the energy consumed. The second installation is at the marina of Rethymno. It is one carport for 4 cars with 10 kilowatts installed power, and we have combined this installation with 2 pre-existing charging stations of the municipality. This installation is not connected to the medium voltage grid yet, because we are facing bureaucracy issues, but in any case, we speculated that we are going to connect it within the next 2 months. Also, net metering will be used for the energy compensation. Now, some practical issues. When we were thinking, we were establishing the idea, we have used a site quite familiar to everybody that are targeted for photovoltaic installation. And we have made some assumptions about power to be produced by the carports. What is the actual situation? We have collected the data for 3 months now for one carport, and we have seen that a difference between the predicted numbers of production and the actual numbers. As you can see, the real production is 65% of the predicted one. So, we now speculate that the real minimum production of both installations will be 23,600 kilowatts per year. Why is this loss? Normally, you can make the assumption because you are using the public space to install a carport, you won't have the optimum slope and the optimum direction of the carport. But additionally, because we have the online monitoring system, we have seen that the carport is not producing actually the maximum because one channel of the carport is producing 45% compared to the second channel. So, as a total, we have only 72% of the predicted one. The other 7% is from the orientation and from the placement of the carport. Why? No, first of all, I will show you something else. We have also made a data evaluation of the energy produced by the carports. We speculate that we were going to gain 12.5 tons of CO2 emissions, that they are equivalent of for 52,000 kilometers of a conventional car. But please take into account that this is the emission saved to produce the energy. In addition, because we have a monitoring system for the charging station, and we have taken data for 1 year, and you can see that for approximately 1,100 charging sessions, we have used approximately 11,000 kilowatts per hour. It means that the carports will produce 2.2 times the energy demand of all of the existing e-vehicles of Rethino. So, theoretically, we will be able to have approximately 2,500 charging sessions of green energy. So, if you speculate that 2,500 sessions are for approximately 200 kilometers per session, we are talking about 500,000 kilometers produced for the e-cars. Now, what is the lesson learned by the first demonstrator? First of all, we have faced huge bureaucracy to connect to the grid, approximately 7 months to connect the first one. That is the low voltage connection, the simple one. The second one, as I have already told you, will be installed probably within the next 2 months, and this is because we are trying to connect to the medium grid. Why we are facing this low productivity of the carport? Because, as you can see from the picture, one of the 2 sections of the carport is influenced by the existing trees and surrounding buildings. So, in the future, we are going to have also this in mind. Additionally, because we have a money saving from Demonstrator 1, Rethymno we have installed another demonstrator. That is, the goal was to promote recycling and waste sorting. We have procured 150 approximately bins in order to promote waste sorting. The bins were placed on the coastal front of the city, and the second demonstrator is aiming to support and promote recycling, waste separation, and most of all, enhancing the mentality of the people. We have 3 different waste streams. One is for plastics. This is important for our policy. The second bin is for the rest of recyclables, commingled waste. And the third one is for general waste. So, some data and what we learned. First of all, we have a very positive response and participation in the waste separation process from both citizens and tourists. Also, we have found out that the collected plastics have a significant clarity, approximately 7%. This is also the amount is by visual inspection can be 5% more or less. The most difficult thing is was to organize the data collection. We have used waste bags with different colors in order to be able to have the waste sorting. Obviously, as you can see from the diagram over there, the amount of the collected waste is dependent of the weather, because we are talking about the promenade of the city, the tourist flows, and what we learned, if you want to have a consistent amount of collected waste bins, the bins should be placed close to the residences, to the people. Thank you. This is the first presentation, was the demonstrators of Municipality of Rethymno, and now we are going to move to the next one, that is the presentation for the development of the local action plan of the municipality. So, some general information about our municipality. We are located in island of Crete. The population is about 63,000 people. The area is around 400 square kilometers. Please take into account that also we have a university with approximately 12,000 students. And the tourism is the most important financial resource of Rethymno. According to Elstat, in 2017, we had about 500,000 arrivals of tourists and more than 3 million overnight stays. Please take this number into account, because this flow, the touristic flow, is severely influencing our infrastructures. The vision of the municipality of Rethymno is to remain not only a remarkable tourist destination, we have achieved this, but to be also a model of sustainable tourism destination. that incorporates elements of a smart city and a place to attract sustainable investment initiatives. How we have developed the local action plan? First of all, in 2020, for approximately 2 months, we've been collecting data. This is the first time done in our municipality. Trying to give the data to our partner in Encircled, the Santa Ana School of Advanced Studies, in order to assess the existing situation of Rethymno. The results were very good for us. We didn't expect this number, 48%. Rethymno has been classified as a proactivist. That means that Rethymno has already undertaken a circularity path of its development and is aware of the role of the circular economy. So now we're coming to the methodology used to develop the local action plan. First of all, we have worked on a template provided by our partner, the Energy and Water Agency of Malta. In the second phase, we have performed a SWOT analysis. In the third stage, we have arranged for stakeholder meetings, and actually 3 of them have taken place. Here I have to make some small remarks from what happened during the stakeholders meetings. First of all the stakeholders agree that circular economy is an added value to tourism. They all agree that they have to take measures. They all agree that they need more information. They all agree that they have to get experienced and well-trained staff. Altogether, that means capacity building. They all agree that funding is a crucial part, and they all agree that we have to take special care to micro and small SMEs. The tourism industry in Rethymno is mainly consisted of small and micro enterprises. The fourth stage was to consult. It was the first time that we figured that a lot of departments of the municipality have to come close. So we have conducted the Municipal Enterprise for Water Supply and Drainage, the Municipal Energy Team, the Department of Urban Planning, the Sustainable Mobility Office, the Department of Waste Collection and Management, and the Department of Development and Programming. And finally, we had to review all the other municipal strategic plans. Rethymno is a pioneer, a municipality working on sustainability for approximately 15 years. We have a lot of plans, but all of them have to come together. This is what the circular economy needs. So we had the Sustainable Energy and Climate Adaptation Plan of the municipality. We had the Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan of the municipality. We had the Sustainable Urban Logistic Plans of the municipality and the Local Waste Management Plan. All of them should be together to create a local action plan. The local action plan created is a 5-year action plan, starting from November of this year and ending in 2026. Why such a short plan? Because we believe that an action plan is a living organism. It should be modified, it should be adapted at a regular basis. So, these are the SWOT analysis performed. I won't go through it, but I have to come into important points. First of all, one of the strengths is the recent changes in the national strategies and available laws. Probably you think this is not a strength, it's a disadvantage. But not. For our point of view, it's a strength because we have to implement the European legislation in a very fast way, and the law is producing responsibilities. A lot of funding will be available on this subject, so we're very pessimistic. Another point of view is that the opportunity. We have to create conditions for private-public cooperation. This is an important thing. We are talking economy, for economy. Circular economy is actually, we have the term economy. We have to involve the private sector. So, the local action plan is consisting of 4 pillars. Water, the objectives, the enhancement of an effective use of water resources, to secure the quality and to protect the water resources and the environment, and secure the water requirements for the tourism sector. The measures, installation of smart systems, improvement of the water supply network. The actions, installation of water supply monitoring system, replacement of water supply pipe network. We're talking about 40% of water losses during distribution. So we have to change the network. And procurement and installation of new technology pump for the water supply system. This is also an energy measure, because a new pump is energy, not demanding the same energy as the old pump. Energy. Objectives. To boost the energy transition, to improve the energy efficiency and reduce the greenhouse emissions, and increase the share of renewable energy sources for energy productions. So the measures to take incentives for energy save, an important thing, urban planning for a bioclimatic town, improvement of the energy efficiency of buildings, replacement of the pumps of the water distribution and water treatment facilities, to produce energy by renewable energy sources, and to have a smart and efficient street lighting system. Actions. Bioclimatic design of public free spaces, important. Using bioclimatic materials, you can change the environment. We have so far performed 2 or 3 bioclimatic upgrades of public space, and we have figured out that we can reduce the temperature of the environment for approximately 1.5 to 2 degrees during summer. You can imagine what is the energy savings by this. Reconstruction and renovation of municipal buildings, procurement of new energy efficient pumps, photovoltaic installation for the biological purification energy demands, and a small hydroelectric station also for the biological station, replacement of the public lighting luminaires with LED ones, a remote management system for street lighting system. Waste, objectives, gradually to move from the 3 R's policy to the 7 R's rule for sustainable waste management. You can see the 3 R's rules that we're using up to now. We have to go to the 7 R's. Waste sorting at the source, awareness raising and citizens engagement, and of course, education and training, capacity building. Not only for the citizens, but also for the staff of the municipality. Measures, raise the public awareness, waste separation at the source, composting at household level, wastewater sludge used for composting, launch of green spots in the municipality area, conduction of studies for the management of other waste, such as agricultural waste, And this should be taken seriously into account because in Greece, the agricultural section has an important role in the waste generation. Update and spatial extension of the biological purification of Rethymno to the hotel area of the city. So the actions, information campaigns, separation of waste at household level, procurement of the necessary equipment, emphasis on bio-waste collection system, procurement of composter for household, and also procurement of an installation of mechanical composting to be used by the municipality itself, creation of 10 green spots. What we're talking about green spot. What is actually a green spot is? It's an area about of 5,000 square meters of where people bring the huge wastes to be sorted and prepared for recycling. And we have also to contract all the necessary studies. About mobility. Mobility is the area that Rethymno is an expert. We've been running mobility programs for approximately 10 years, and more recently we have working for Horizon 2020 program, the CIVINET destination. But the objectives never change. We have to change the modal split, to promote the alternatives to car use, to change our urban planning for sustainable mobility. Safety and accessibility for all is very important for us. And of course, to promote e-mobility. The measures is to foster attractive and efficient accessible public transport. Please take into account, we're talking about public transport, we're talking about transport for the public. This is a critical point. The service provider is not a public authority. Establishment of park and ride systems, upgrading the existing walking and cycling infrastructures. We have around 25 kilometers of cycling routes inside the city and also pavements. To implement the sustainable urban logistic plan, to promote inclusive mobility for all, people with disabilities and facing a lot of facing problems have to be helped as much as possible, to introduce the low emission zones, to establish a network of EV charging stations. We speculate that we are going to establish stations in 50 different areas of the municipality, to renew the municipal vehicle fleet, to promote the shared mobility, and of course to promote the behavioral change. The actions: improve public transport services. We are in very close cooperation with the provider of public transport to make the first park and ride spot in Rethymno, to enlarge the existing infrastructures for walking and cycle. The IT application for the management of loading bases. This is a measure coming from the Sustainable Urban Logistic Plan. To promote the low emission zone in the historic city center, to make the network for charging, to expand our e-vehicles fleet, to promote the shared mobility policies, and to have some campaigns. Now the final part of the local action plan is the horizontal aspects. What is this? I'm taking your time. We have to inform and we have to create capacity building. So we are, as actions, we are preparing a circular economy handbook for businesses and supply chains. We are going to have promotion and raise events and raise the awareness of the people, and also have to produce promotional material. The important part of a local action plan is to identify the key performance indicators, because you have a local action plan should be monitored. These are the indicators we are proposing to monitor and report in order to see if things are going to the right direction. What is the local action plan cost? Around 27 million of euros. Where the money will come from? The National Public Investment Program, the National Strategic Reference Framework, the European programs like the Interreg, the Horizon, and of course from the municipality sources. Thank you very much. Sorry, I couldn't go faster. Thank you very much.
Thank you.